Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Craig Whitford, and I'm president of the Historical Society of Greater Lansing. And I'm also the current president of the Ingham County Historical Commission. Tonight, I get an opportunity to share with you one of my favorite Lansing people, and that's Charles H. Mead. Mead was the son of James I. Mead, who was one of the local pioneers. Charles was born in 1843, and in 1852 he moved here to Lansing with his family at the age of 9. James Mead engaged in the dry goods business, also traded furs and that, right in North Lansing here. Up here later you can take a look at a photo of James Mead and also his wife. Their family residence was known as the Mead Mansion. It was located at 429 North Cedar. From the cupola of the residence, Charles would complete many of his drawings, which you will see this evening. The Mead residence would later serve the city in many capacities, including use as the city hospital at one point, and also a social center. The first theater in Lansing, known as Mead's Hall, was built during the Civil War by James Mead. It was located on the southeast corner of Washington Avenue and Ottawa Streets. On November 17, 1869, Charles married Hattie Louise Humphrey of Meridian. Charles worked in the family dry good business until June of 1876, when he purchased Philip Englehart's photographic gallery. During his 3.5 years in the photography business, Mead employed several artists, including J.H. Scottford, who also many views of the Capitol in Lansing are known on, and John S. Jennings, the latter a business partner. The firm of Mead and Jennings was dissolved December 30th, 1879. So if you look at the time frame, it's around the time frame the new Capitol was being built. So imagine the photographs and the drawings and that could be depicted. Mead's occupation in the years following his photography business included work as an etcher, a travel agent, a sign painter, a return to the family dry goods business, now called Mead and Cowley, carrying on this trade into the 1890s. Several other business ventures followed, with his final occupation being owner-manager of the Mead Storage Company on East Ottawa Street. And there's a story that goes with that too. But Charles Mead died November 4th, 1912 of heart failure at the age of 69. What you're going to see tonight are treasures that I don't own, okay? These are treasures that are located in the local history room of the main library, the Capital Area District Library. There are some 40 drawings that Charles made between the late 1860s and the mid-1870s of Lansing. These are some of our earliest known views of the area, including North Lansing at that time. Beyond that, you're going to see, obviously he's in a new business venture, so what does he need to do? Advertise, okay? And he is well versed at wood carving so that he can make his own printing blocks. So you're going to see caricatures that he's produced like Mr. Podsnap and Mr. Slinkbottom. Okay? Mead no doubt took his inspiration from Thomas Nast at the time and also Mark Twain, who perhaps spent time at the Mead Mansion when he was in town on 2 occasions and gave talks at Mead's Hall. So it's kind of interesting just to watch the evolution that takes place. Beyond that, I'll show you some photographs. I'll talk about the album a little bit. And I'll talk about the scrapbook that came out of the storage company here just a few years ago. So that contains a lot of Mead artifacts. So with that, we'll get started with the program. I'm going to tip this down for just a second, but Charles H. Mead, artist photographer. And there you see on the right-hand side Mr. Slinkbottom, actually, taking a look at a photograph. What we have here, again, we're going to be looking at his early drawings, and this is the west side of Washington Avenue from Ottawa Street in 1868. This drawing was done May 24th of 1870, and this is where Charles and his wife first kept house. What's interesting in some of his drawings is he includes little hidden writings within the drawing, and I'll mention some of those as we go through here. This view here is a view of the Mead Brothers chair shop from the foot of Doc Holmes' garden, done in June of 1870. In the chair shop, there was also Mead's Mill, which is a photograph on the table up. You can take a look at it. That was part of the scrapbook. So he's recording the area as he sees it, and the river plays a very important role in his drawings. This is a river view, the Grand River right there, and right up on the left at the top of the hill is the Mead Mansion. So actually you're looking east at this point, okay, from the west side of the river. In October of 1870, Mead sketched the corner of Washington Avenue and Ionia Street looking south. Has it changed quite a bit today? 132 years later, here's a bit of an enlargement of the church and his drawings of the people.
Is that the Baptist church?
Well, that was First Baptist now.
I believe it was the Episcopal Church at that time. Then in November, just north from Ionia Street, Washington Avenue, west side, it's a view from their west window at Doc Holmes. Features a lumber yard north of Buck residence at Washington and Ionia. And again, I have an enlargement of the lumber yard. And look at the detail that he used to execute it. It's just fantastic. I'm not a sketcher. I'll rough draft, so I don't have a clue as to how many hours he had into a drawing such as this. In 1871, he took an interior view of the Mead residence, the sitting room, and on the left there is his son, baby Earl. This next one's the Humphrey Farm, where his wife came from, in Meridian, 2 miles east of Okemos, and he's noted that this is the house we were married in. And the next one should be a familiar sight to all. There are numerous postcards and photographs of this, and that's Split Rock. This one was done May 24th of 1871. May 26, 1871. This one's a little dark, I apologize for that, but this is looking towards North Lansing from the residence. And this is looking south from their house and west, so to the southwest. Right up in the right-hand corner, you can see Mead's Hall. It's got a humpback roof to it. Take a look at it, and then off in the distance to the right is the First Capitol. New trees, a home, and fence. He didn't have any particular designation on this one. This was June 6th of 1871. It's interesting, Charles sketched mostly on Sundays. Now remember, this is prior to his photography business. So he's quite an accomplished artist. June 15th, 1871. This was Cedar Street looking south in June. It says here, "'Twas on the 23rd of January, 1869 that I popped the question to Lou. We were in Coleman's buggy about where the sleigh is, and the moon shone beautifully by Joe." And does that say June on it? A little bit of a winter scene, perhaps? July 30th, 1871, the old state offices in 71, looking west from the Mead residence. The old state offices were where the present Capitol is today. They had to be removed to make room for the new Capitol building. September 16th, 1871, this is a large tree at the river's edge with the old slaughterhouse on the right-hand side. December 3rd, 1871, Cedar Street from the Mead homestead. So this is looking east. September 22nd, let's see. What's the date on that one? Can somebody tell me? March 24th? That's the corner of Cedar and Shiawassee Street, actually. And you can see where he just had started sketching the buggy. Most of these are 8 by 11. Some of them are a little bit larger. There are a few that are smaller. These were donated during the 40s. This is a view looking south at the old wooden bridge, Michigan Avenue. June 16th, 1872. Remember the state office building we were talking about? This is it partly torn down to make room for the new Capitol. And this was taken from Mead's block. That's Mead's Hall. They referred to it as Mead's block. In the upper room on Washington Avenue. So he's overlooking the businesses on the west side and watching them tear down the state office building. October 4th, 1872. Or actually, this one is July 28th, 1872. Dome of the old Capitol from the corner of Cedar and Shiawassee. You can see it on the right there, just peeking over the trees. This is the Steamboat Landing, anchorage and swimming hole, halfway between Michigan Avenue and Shiawassee Street. 22nd of September, 1872. Again, it's a Sunday, and people used to go down there. The Loomis Mansion and that are right up on the hill. Loomis ran the steamboats on the Grand River at the time. There is somewhat of a dark enlargement of it, but you can see the boats right there along the river's edge. October 4th, 1872. This is at the foot of Ottawa Street. The drawings that he did show the progress of the city as it moves closer and closer towards the end of the 19th century. October 13th, 1872, you can see the Mead's residence right there on the right up on the hill. A woman on the dock with a rowboat there. And here's an enlargement showing the Mead residence. All of his sketching from when he worked in the residence was done from the cupola, basically. From the top, the bird's eye view that's on the table over there was done from that vantage point. Mead not only sketched Lansing, but they obviously took a vacation at some point to South Haven. This was in July of 1873. And there are several of these drawings in the local history room collection. This one is a rough lake shore scene. It's down by the docks. You can see all the wood loaded on the docks there. And he's put down in the lower left-hand corner South Haven from the bridge. And again, another South Haven scene. If you look at the clarity and crispness of these as compared with the others, it appears he spent a little bit more time maybe sitting on the beach sketching these. He enjoyed it a bit more. May 30th, 1874, this is the First Presbyterian Church and the Ben Buck home. July 4th, 1874, July 4th. Washington Street scene, the paint shop, the Granger office, the harness shop, and Buck's Opera House is on the left towards the end of the block there. You can see the church further on down. There's just an enlargement of it. This is the ME Church on the street scene. You notice the gentleman on the left kind of lost his head. Doesn't exist. This is October 5th. There's no year given for this drawing here, but this is the H.L. Wilson harness and shop and street scene. This is a photograph of one of his drawings. The drawing doesn't exist any longer, but that's the Franklin Avenue Bridge and the female college in the distance. Which at that time actually may have been the Oddfellows. Oh, in the 1870s, when
Yes,
this was
that's
done.
true.
This is a wooden bridge at Franklin Avenue. Again, this drawing doesn't exist. This is actually a cut out of a book. And this is the bird's eye view that's up on the table there. Taken in October of 1873. Off in the distance to the right, you can see Buck's Opera House. To the left of Buck's Opera House, you can see the derricks for the new Capitol going up. Okay. Within that, to a little bit more to the left, you can see the Mead block, Mead's Hall, the hump roof. Further to the left, you see the Capitol, the first Capitol in Lansing. And again, further to the left, just jump over, you see the old Lansing House, one of the early hotels in town. This was framed, it was done in October of 1873. It was framed right around 1910, about 2 years before he passed away. And this is the only drawing that we know of that's available in private hands. But it's just a beautiful bird's eye view. The detail of the ladies is incredible. Their clothing and everything. You can see right between the ladies the cupola of the Capitol. Well, as I had mentioned, he needed to do some advertising in order to get his new business started. On June 16, 1876, Charles Mead, a well-known member of the firm of Mead and Company of this city, expects to engage in a new line of business in Lansing before long. He has many friends who will rejoice to see him again occupying a place where he can do some good. A little tongue-in-cheek there. June 20th, 1876, and these are local news items that are in the Lansing Republican at the time. C.H. Mead has purchased the Englehart Photograph Gallery and has already taken possession. It is one of the best galleries in the city and has every convenience that 12 years of experience could suggest. George Keane, one of the best artists in the country, has been employed by Mr. Mead. Mr. Englehart intends to visit the scenes of his youth in Germany during the present summer. And this ad is one of his first. How are you, my friends? And he states, but I want your photograph, and he tells where his rooms are located, and then he has purchased Englehart's Photograph Gallery. And this one here is from September 22nd, 1876, and at this time, what's going on in the city? The Capitol's being built. They are moving huge chunks of limestone up to the Capitol, okay? And there are photographs of the wagon teams that are moving these chunks. And what does he say there? Who can read that for me? Because I'm a little bit out. So, a 6-horse team drawing an 11-ton stone up the Capitol broke the king bolt. Now, if the whole cart had smashed down and you had been under it, the probability is that you no longer be a good subject for a photograph. Therefore, don't postpone providing your friends with a good picture of yourself before you are smashed. Okay? Now, Mead carries out these type of ads throughout his business practice, and that goes into the 1890s. When I mentioned, I'm a hamper company. Okay? It's a hamper, okay? That's it. Now this one is from September 29th, 1876, and again, we're talking the centennial year of the United States. And in this one, it's interesting. Mead's Temperance Hall, again, Mead's Hall, on the evening of the 31st of September, the cripples of Lansing will hold a select party at the above-mentioned place. Now, why could Mead do that? Mead himself was a cripple, both legs. Music by Billy McAllen, the chimney sweep, on his mouth organ. Mr. Cross, the fish merchant, will call off. C.H. Mead is the floor manager. The entertainment will be opened at 10 p.m. by a serenade, Darling, I Am Growing Old, performed on their instruments by the Barnes Drum Corps, after which the company will form and lead off with a waltz. The room will be appropriately decorated with festoons of canes and crutches. After the entertainment, the party will adjourn to C.H. Mead's photo rooms and have their pictures taken in a group. For further particulars, address or call on C.H. Mead. October of 1876. This is Mr. Slinkbottom. Here's your turkey for Thanksgiving. You see, I can't read her name. Marie. Is it Marie? Okay. He's talking that his photographic institution will be open for business on Thanksgiving Day. So what a perfect time for family and friends to get together and have their photograph taken. December 15th, 1876. Local news. Blood the grocer in the library block has a decidedly startling work of art in his window. It is a painting on canvas representing Boss Tweed. Remember the large controversy in New York City at the time. Wings and all as he flew away, but in this instance he is distributing handbills for that institution. As he takes his airy flight over the city, we are informed that the hoisting of the boss in the front window is not indicative of the system of dealing inside, but should not an announcement of that fact be appended to the chrome for fear of his misapprehension on the part of customers? C.H. Mead is the artist. And this one here is See the Conquering Hero Come. All of these cuts were done by Mead for his ads and placed in the paper. September of 1877, local news. It'll be remembered that Charles H. Mead offers a premium of $15 for the handsomest baby. Judges to decide from numbered photographs taken in his gallery and to be exhibited at the approaching fair of the Central Michigan Agricultural Society. About 75 babies have been photographed, and from the samples already taken, we believe that this is good baby producing section. In October of 77, local notice. Somebody will die before they have their picture taken, and then somebody will always be sorry. That's the way the world wags. Jennings and myself are getting up half-sized oil portraits handsomely framed for $15. Satisfaction guaranteed, and after Christmas, they must have had a different form of economics back then, but the work will cost you $30. So it wouldn't be half price. October 19th of 77, another local news. Charlie Ross. What would not his parents give for a good picture of their lost boy? But alas, like many other parents, they waited for a time when they should have the money for which they had no other use. Fine photography especially. November 2nd. If your friend tells you, oh yes, I'm going to have some photographs taken right away, and I'll give you one, you need not tell him he lies, but take him by the arm and bring him right around the corner to my rooms. Stay with him until you see him on glass so that he can't lie about it. And again, city styles you can see there. Mead would take photographs in all types of positions. This one, Our Valentine to You. Again, one of his cuts, and a little bit of poetry and a song at the bottom there. Ready for business? In March of 1878, Charles Mead ran for city clerk. He was described as thus by the newspaper. Has received an excellent business education in his father's store. He is rapid and correct with the pen in keeping accounts, is courteous and obliging to all, and will give his undivided attention to the office if elected. And through a recent misfortune is stripped of all of his means and compelled to struggle with difficulties that would crush men of less cheerful temper. Another ad. Again, Mead turned his drawings into wood cuts, because that's what were utilized at the time by the newspapers. This appeared in the 1878 city directory. It was a photograph in the front of the directory. That directory was only our third. This may indeed be a photograph of Charles Mead. It's difficult to say, it is not identified as such, but it was an actual photographic print that was contained within the city directory at the time. Now we go into a little bit of photography. It's a photograph. This is one of his cabinet cards, and as was customary at that time, you would always put your advertisement on the back, Mead and Jennings, Art Studio. This is a CDV, which is very popular at the time, smaller format. There's a variety of the cuts that you'd find on the back of Charles Mead's photographs, whether they are cabinet cards or CDVs. This album here, the Michigan offices, February 16th, 1877, local news. The fine oil painting of Captain Marsick of Bay City, mentioned in the report of the Pioneer meeting, as General Cass's interpreter, is on exhibition at the Photograph Gallery of C.H. Mead. They go on to state that Charlie is now engaged upon a legislative album, which is a little ahead of anything ever attempted in that line. And that album is up on one of the stands this evening. Stafford, the gentleman who that its guild impressed to, Henry H. Stafford, was a representative from Marquette County in 1877. He was born in Boston, Massachusetts in 1833. He took up residence in Marquette in 1856, where he currently resided, and this was in 1888. He's held numerous public offices. He was receiver of the United States Land Office at Marquette for 5 years, the first mayor of Marquette, town treasurer, member of the school board, etc. By occupation, he was a druggist, and in politics, a Republican. And this was a legislative album that Mead put together for him. Most of the albums at this time were rather smaller format. They may have been about 8 by 8. This one is full plate size. And within it is a portrait of the governor, is the first photograph of the album. Photographs of all the senators, the representatives, the house runners, you name it, they're each in here on the pages. A photograph of the first Capitol in Lansing, built 1847, finished for the legislative session to begin in 1848. And the current Capitol under construction. Plymouth Congregational Church is to the left. Mead also produced stereo opticon cards, stereo views, and there are a couple up on the table. This one is the east-west hall of the Capitol. You see the legislatures around, the spittoons on the floor. I'm not sure they've got those anymore today, but the chandeliers are hanging there. This is the military museum. You see the spittoon right out in the center of the floor there. Large welcome sign. On the back, Mead obviously more advertising, right? There are plenty of views available, views in and about Lansing. You can send for them. All the years that I've been collecting Mead and researching Mead, I have only found 2 stereo view cards. And I know he produced many, many more. This is a Victorian age advertising card for Pure Havana. This is would have been produced by a major company, perhaps out east, lithographed for use for merchants to put their ad on the back. Charles has put this cut together. Everybody's stuck on him, and he uses a skeleton to do it, with it sitting atop a tombstone. So here's another one of his cuts, very similar to the one ad that you have seen prior to. This actually came out of a Battle Creek newspaper. The scrapbook I mentioned had woodcuts, ad pulls from it, from many newspapers throughout the state that he did the woodcuts for various merchants. Again, here's another side, and I also believe that that's a Mead cut with the frog. Mead at one point also sold patent medicine, believe it or not. Mead's blood purifying pills. As I had mentioned, and we're just about to close of this, the Mead residence also served as a city hospital at one point. And this is a vintage postcard that shows that, the nurses out front. A postcard view on the right-hand side there, you can see Mead's Hall, the humpbacked roof from the view. Give you some perspective as to where that's at. And this is a James I. Mead, Victorian era advertising card for his business. And ladies and gentlemen, that finishes the slide presentation of the program. I really appreciate you coming out, taking a look at that.